can feel the warning signs running around my mind.
Alright, so what we're looking at today, guys, is we're looking at multiplying two fractions. And the ones I've got in front of me here is 1/3 and 1/4, or a quarter. And like what I said we've done with all of the previous examples, adding and subtracting fractions, we use visualization methods first of all. Okay, so in front of me here I have a pizza, a square pizza, and it's divided into quarters, you can see here. And so I am multiplying this quarter by 1/3. And what does that mean? Well, this is a quarter of the pizza. If I was to ask what a third of our pizza, a third of our quarter would be this little segment here, which would be one segment divided into 3. So one of our quarters divided into 3. And if I was to ask you, right, well, what fraction is this now? The answer would be, well, we can see here that it's divided into even sectors, and each sector here represents 1, and there's 12 sectors altogether, and so this part of the pizza represents 1/12. Well, we can't really use visualization for everything. That would involve drawing a lot of pizzas, cutting a lot of lines, and so we do actually have a mechanical method that we can use here, and it's really simple. First things first is I write down my two fractions, so it's 2/3 multiplied by 3/5, and my answer is going to be a fraction. So I'm drawing my line here, and I basically just multiply the two top numbers to get my answer up here, and then the two bottom numbers to get my answer down here. So 2 multiplied by 3 will give me 6, so 6 on top here, and 3 multiplied by 5 will give me 3 5s are 15. So the answer to this is 6/15. And then I'm going to ask myself one question, and that is, can I simplify? Can I simplify 6/15? And what I mean by that is there a number that goes into 6 and 15? And if you're good at your factors and if you're good at your times tables, you'll realize that 3 goes into both of those. So I'm going to divide 6 by 3. So 3 goes into 6 twice, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. So the answer to this is 2/5. Okay, so you can see here we're dealing with example 3, and this is 3 1/4 and 2/3. And we've got a whole number and a fraction, so we refer to this as a mixed number. And then we just have a normal fraction here, or a proper fraction, which would be the correct term. So I'm asked to multiply these two things here. If I am given a mixed fraction and I'm asked to multiply it, the first thing I do is I get rid of the mixed fraction and I make it into a top-heavy fraction or an improper fraction. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my method for transferring or converting mixed numbers into improper fractions. And so the first things first is I realize I'm dealing with quarters, so my answer will be something over 4. And then I apply the method as shown earlier. 4 multiplied by 3 gives me 12 plus 1. And so the answer here is 13/4. And now I can continue with my question, which was to multiply these two fractions. So to multiply these two fractions, it's now going to be 13/4 multiplied by 2/3. And I'm going to apply my method, place my equals, and draw my fraction line. And it's going to be top multiplied by the top. And so it is 13 multiplied by 2, which will give me 26. And 4 multiplied by 3, so this number here, the two bottom numbers, 4 and 3, which will give me, when multiplied together, 12. Okay, now I'm going to ask myself again, can I simplify this? And of course, this is what we call an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. And so I can write it as a mixed number, and I just ask myself, how many times does 12 go into 26? And it goes in twice. And then I ask myself, okay, if it goes in twice, what's left over? And so I know 12 times 1 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24, which means there's 2 left over, 2/12. And if I'm really awake, I can simplify that down to 2 1/6, because 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 12 6 times. Alright, so you've got a learning check now. It's the first one, and it is multiplying fractions. So take your time and show your workings. Alright, now we're on to example 4, and this is the symbol division. So what we're doing here is we are dividing fractions. So we'll start off with our visualization method. And so I'm given 3 pizzas here, 1, 2, 3, and I need to divide them all by a half. So let's do that. I divide the first one by a half, the second one, and the third one. So I've divided each one by a half. And my answer now is, well, how many have I got? And the answer is, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. So that is my answer. But as questions get a little bit harder, it's obviously more difficult to visualize these questions. And so we have a mechanical method to apply. So here we have another method. It's not as easy this time, and it's 3/4 divided by 1/2. And our mechanical method is super easy. First things first, write down your 2 fractions, 3/4 divided by 1/2. The next thing you do is you are going to replace this symbol here, the division symbol, by a multiplication symbol. So I'm going to now replace this by a multiplication symbol. I'm going to do it in dark black. So this is now multiplication. And this second part here, I now turn upside down. So it now will be 3/4. Instead of division, it's going to be multiplied by, and I turn the second one upside down, so it will be 2/1. And what have we got here, guys? We've got exactly the same thing as examples 1, 2, and 3 in your learning check, just a multiplication sum. So place my equals, place my division sign, and it is 3 multiplied by 2 will give me 6, and 4 multiplied by 1 will give me 4. Rechange that into a mixed number. 4 goes into 6 once, and we've got 2/4 left, which I can write as 1 and 1/2. Okay, so your rules for division are, and it is to change the sign to multiplication and switch the second fraction. So I've changed the sign to multiplication, I've switched the second fraction upside down, and then I've just applied my multiplication technique. Alright, let's try it one more time, and this time I've got a whole number and a fraction. So if I'm dealing with whole numbers or improper fractions, I need to get everything or mixed numbers, I need to make everything a fraction. So how can I write 5 as a fraction? Well, hopefully we remember that to write 5 as a fraction, I can write it as 5/1. So I'm now going to replace that as 5/1 divided by 1/4. And if I think back to what my steps were for division, and the tips were change the sign to multiplication and switch the second fraction. So let's do that. I've got 5/1. I'm going to now change the sign to multiplication, so it'll be multiplied by, and it says switch the second fraction. So it was 1/4, and it's now going to become 4/1. And I can go on, and I will do my fraction line here, and I will multiply 5 multiplied by 4, which will give me 20. And the bottom is 1 multiplied by 1, which will give me 1. And any number over 1 is just a full number, a whole number, and that represents 20. Okay, so you're on to your learning check part 2 now. So make sure you've both learning checks done for me for tomorrow. And this one centres on division. So remember your tips. Change the sign to multiplication, switch it upside down, switch the second one upside down, and remember to simplify your answers. And I'll see everybody tomorrow.